So many of you have been asking me for alternatives to a lot of different fragrances, including Tom Ford's Plum Japonais. You seem to be really in love with this fragrance, and there seems to be a lot of fans. Is it because it's discontinued? Is that why there's so much of a demand for it? Because I don't recall it being so popular when this fragrance came out 10 years ago. This came out, I believe, around the summer of 2013. So it's been 10 years since it's launched. It's discontinued now. And I have a bottle thanks to a friend who just gifted this to me because she knew I've been looking for it. But in the past, I've actually spoken about alternative for Plum Japonais from a house called ATHENA Fragrances. It's called Smokey Plum. So that's why I thought, let's do a comparison video and give you this great alternative for Plum Japonais, because if you went to like discounters or anybody that's selling it, it's going to be an arm and a leg. It's very, very costly now. I mean, we already know that Tom Ford fragrances are very, very expensive. You're going to pay a lot of money for Plum Japonais now because it is discontinued. But this is a great alternative. I'm going to let you know all about Smokey Plum, how it compares to Plum Japonais, and tell you how much it is and all that good stuff and where you can get it. So find out all about Smokey Plum in comparison to Plum Japonais coming right up. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian. Yes, today we're talking about Plum Japonais and how it compares to Smokey Plum. So I did a video on plum fragrances recently and I featured Smokey Plum there, because you guys have an interest in finding Plum Japonais, and at that time I did not have a bottle of Plum Japonais. And then I also did a great alternatives of various fragrances in one video, and in that video I featured Smokey Plum once again without my bottle of Plum Japonais. But now that I have Plum Japonais and I can smell it and I can compare it and do a comparison with Smokey Plum. So Plum Japonais came out 10 years ago, and I believe it was around the summertime, and it launched with two other fragrances. There's Rive d'Ambre, and then there was something with Lily, Shanghai Lily. So these three fragrances that launched together, and they got discontinued. All three of them are gone. I think for me, Shanghai Lily and Plum Japonais out of the three were really great, and I have probably like a 10 ml of Shanghai Lily, but thankfully I have Plum Japonais here. So it's a 2013 launch. It features notes of plums, cinnamon, oud, amber, plum blossom, benzoin, fir, vanilla, and cypress. So when you compare it to Smokey Plum, which just launched last year, it features notes of plums, cinnamon, safraleine, oud, vanilla, smoke, amber, cognac, cypress, immortelle. So some of the notes are the same, some of the notes are different, but they do smell alike. There's definitely differences. For me, the most important noticeable difference when I compare these two side by side. Now, when you do this comparison away from one another, like you wear this and you don't have your Plum Japonais near you to spray and to compare, you'll think that they're identical. But when you're doing a side by side, which is what I've done here multiple times, smelling the differences between the two, you'll definitely notice a bit of an animalic undertone here with Plum Japonais in comparison to Smokey Plum. For me, there's like an oud that's really in your face. It doesn't stay there for a long time, but it's there, and it kind of creates a little bit of a funk when you're comparing it to the Smokey Plum from ATHENA. But that goes away. When you first spray the fragrance, it kind of gives you like an experience of what you're going to wear, and then it starts doing other things, like cinnamon kind of takes over, and then the plums kind of melt with or kind of appear with the cinnamon, and then everything else develops. You'll get into the oud, it creates that little funk, and then sweetens up and things like that, and then eventually becoming a little woody and ambery when it's drying down. But with the Smokey Plum, when you first spray it, I feel like cinnamon is a lot more in your face here with Smokey Plum. Gives me a bit of a holiday-ish vibe. But of course plums appear as well, and I don't have that funk here, even though they mentioned the oud here with Smokey Plum. There's definitely a smokiness here, And I get that from Plum Japonais as well. But for me, I also get a comparison or a difference between the smokiness. For me, in Plum Japonais, there's definitely a smokiness from not only the animalic part of the oud, but also from the oud itself. It's definitely kind of an animalic smokiness. But with the Smoky Plum, it's more about the smoke, less about the animalic oudiness. You do definitely experience woods in both fragrances, but there's something about the Plum Japonais where it kind of really gives me the animalic experience, which ATHENA Smoky Plum doesn't. And the smokiness in Smoky Plum is there. There's definitely smoke here, but I feel like it's finely blended, like it doesn't over appear, like it doesn't, you know, it's not like a prominent note. It's kind of like perfectly blended where it just doesn't stand out too much, whereas with Plum Japonais I do get that kind of standout animalics and smokiness from the oud, which I don't get from the Smoky Plum from ATHENA. So other than that, I feel like there's also the missing part of the fur that's in the Plum Japonais in comparison to Smoky Plum. And this is something that I really liked about the Plum Japonais. That fir note comes in, gives you that kind of pine-like experience where this one doesn't have it, but then you do have it a little bit with the fact that both of them do feature Cypress, but it's a little stronger with the Plum Japonais in comparison to the Smoky Plum. But the addition of leathery touches with Smoky Plum appear as well in comparison to the Plum Japonais. So there's definitely the presence of leathery undertone here, not big, not in your face. That's definitely there when it's drying down, coming from the Safraleine note. So in the end, I feel like they're definitely identical and then they're not, but a great alternative to Plum Japonais, because you guys have been asking me, is it going to come back? Is it where can you find a bottle of Plum Japonais, and if there's any great alternatives? And I think this is a great alternative. And for the price, it's 100 ml Eau de Parfum for $65, and I think it's a great price. I do have a link in the info box for this one, so go check it out. But let me know, those of you that bought a bottle of Smoky Plum from my mentions in past videos, are you happy with Smoky Plum? Does it, you know, replace your craving for Plum Japonais from Tom Ford? I'd like to find out from you guys. I know I've heard a lot of positive things already in comments and things like that, and the fact that it's really inexpensive, those are making you guys very happy about this. But I'd like to find out more from those of you that bought a bottle to see what you guys think about it. And those of you that have a bottle of Plum Japonais, how much do you guys have? Are you happy with it? Were you never a fan of Plum Japonais? Are you keeping it now that it's discontinued? And I've talked and spoken to a lot of different reps and people that are working for Tom Ford, and as far as they know, there's no chance of Plum Japonais coming back, but that could be that it's just at this moment in time, the executives at Estee Lauder and Tom Ford could say, okay, we need to bring back Plum Japonais, so we want to kind of, you know, put it out there again. But as of now, I haven't heard anything about Plum Japonais coming out. But I do know about some other fragrances that will be launching from Tom Ford, which will be, you know, in another video in the near future. But for now, I think Smoky Plum is a great alternative for Plum Japonais. I should say that they're not really beastly fragrances. The only thing about Plum Japonais that's not in Smoky Plum is the fact that it has that oud in it. So because of that oud roughness and animalicness and the smokiness from that oud, it does make it a little more potent than Smoky Plum. But other than that, they wear very similarly. Not one of them is like a lot stronger than the other. I feel like you get good longevity with them. They're not really the biggest room fillers and things like that. But I think Smoky Plum definitely will satisfy your craving for a Plum Japonais. I think it's a great fragrance, a great alternative for Plum Japonais, and that's all I have to say. So this is a Smoky Plum right here. It's a very simplistic bottle, and again, it's $65 for 100 ml. And when I was looking at prices for Plum Japonais, there were over $3,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 prices. This is a 50 ml bottle. It's pretty full, so I really thank my friend who gave this to me. It is a tester. It does say demonstration, not for sale, but I am so glad to have a bottle of it. And now that I have it, I could do this comparison, as I said. But I should also add, if you do have both, what do you guys think? Are you seeing differences? Are you seeing similarities? Let me know. Put a comment about that down as well. But either way, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video. If you have any questions or comments, please do list below. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.